read in the Parsha where Hashem says to Moshe, Rei Korosi, B'Shem B'Tzalel ben Uri ben Chur L'Mati Yehuda. I'm calling B'Tzalel to oversee the building of the Mishkan, who's the son of Uri, the son of Chur, of the tribe of Yehuda. We trace B'Tzalel's lineage to Chur. Chur was the son of Miriam. Chur was the one who was killed by the rabble when the rabble initiated and suggested to build to create the Egel Azov, the golden calf. Chur protested, and the rabble murdered him. He was killed. So Chur died al Kiddush Hashem. Because he died al Kiddush Hashem, he gave his life to protest what they were about to do. His grandson merited, although B'Tzalel at this moment was only 13 years old, he merited an understanding and a divine understanding of all in the inner workings of creation, as the Gemara tells us in Brachos, Hayodei L'Tzaref Osius. He knew how to conjugate the letters that brought about creation, which was needed for the building of the Mishkan, because the Mishkan had to be infused with the same intent that brought about creation. The Midrash says, Moshel Ma'adov. What is it analogous to? There was a general who brought much glory to his king, fought many battles, and the king said, when the general returns from this last battle, I will glorify him and reward him handsomely. And instead of returning, he was killed in the last battle. The king was pained by this, but he said he has to reward his closest relative, and he finds his grandson, and he gives the glory and the financial compensation to the grandson. Identically here, because Chur gave his life to sanctify Hashem's name, therefore his grandson, although he was only 13 years old, he merited this wisdom, this understanding, to be able to oversee the location where the Shekhinah was going to dwell. That's the Medrash. We've shown many times that the Mishkan itself was a microcosm of creation. Literally the equivalent of creation. That's why the 39 creative activities which are not permitted on Shabbos are learned from the building of the Mishkan. All the creative activity that was needed in the Mishkan, those are the creative activities that you're not permitted to do on Shabbos, because they correspond to all the spiritual forces that were needed to bring about creation, because the Mishkan itself is the equivalent of creation itself. And therefore B'Tzalel had to know how to conjugate the letters of the Aleph Beis and the various names of Hashem to bring about the Mishkan, which brought about creation, because this is the equivalent of creation. But to understand Midah Keneged Midah, what this is, the Medrash tells us that the original intent of creation was that the Shekhinah, the divine presence, should dwell on the terrestrial level, not in heaven. But because Adam ate of the Eitz HaDaas, which is Tov V'Ra, he putrefied himself in all existence. Existence was no longer qualified for Hashem's presence. So Hashem ascended from this existence. Sinai was the first time since then, when Atem Kriyim Adam, we became the equivalent of Adam Arishon, the Shekhinah was brought from heaven to earth. And if Klal Yisrael wouldn't have sinned with the Chet Egel, that would have been the end of time. Klal Yisrael at that moment reverted back to pre-sin of Adam. But because of the Chet Egel, we reverted back to post-sin, and therefore the world continues as it does. And we're subject to death because of that. But if the Chet Egel wouldn't have taken place, that would have been the end of existence. The existence would have continued eternally. What did Chur protest? Not just idolatry. Chur understood where Klal Yisrael was at. We were at a level, we reverted back to pre-sin. If that's the case, Hashem's presence could dwell in our midst on the terrestrial level as it was meant to before Adam ate of the Eitz HaDaas. He tried to prevent that. He gave his life for that. So therefore, the Midah Keneged Midah was, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says his grandson will create an edifice which will be the equivalent of creation, that the Shekhinah should dwell there. Because since his grandfather wanted to bring that about and prevent the Egel from happening, and he was killed for that, the reward to his grandson is he will create that entity which is the equivalent of creation, so the Shekhinah could dwell on the terrestrial level, and this is the Midah Keneged Midah.